a whole ass 50 piece on the Jazz last night. What? You just gonna go out there and give a top 10 defense 50 out of nowhere like that, D-Rose? Oh man, you guys will never understand the joy it gave me to watch this guy give them bucket after bucket like it was 2011. I had to hop on here and give an unscripted, unplanned video, just an appreciation video for D-Rose. Cause I have no problem being honest and telling you all, I gave up on a performance like this from him probably around 2 or 3 years ago. As a matter of fact, I heard the commentators during the game say that it had been a whole 2 years since he even dropped 30, and it was back when he was with the Knicks. My only regret is that I hadn't used the SeatGeek app to get tickets to the game last night. SeatGeek is the amazing app that provides you with the easiest way to buy tickets for almost any kind of event, which would most likely be sports related for you all. The app pulls tickets from all over the web and has them in one place to make purchasing one for your event really easy, and it also assures you'll be getting the best value for your ticket. While searching for your tickets, each one is ranked with a score from 1 to 100 that lets you know if you're getting a good deal or not for your purchase. On top of that, the app also provides you with the detailed view of what you would see from your seat before you even get there, which is extremely helpful. If you're interested in downloading this app, the links will be in both the comment section and highlighted in the description. If you're still on the fence, consider using my promo code DOM2K to get $20 off your first purchase. What I witnessed last night, although it was just a single game, a single regular season game that honestly is not going to mean much in the long run unless he recaptures this magic and, makes it last. What I witnessed was one of the best moments in NBA history. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm still young, so sometimes I don't realize just how quick time is passing, and then you sit back and notice that D Rose sustained that first injury a whole 6 years ago. And there's people that are watching the NBA now and that are big fans that weren't around when he was explosive and the day that he tore his ACL. They might have heard the D-Rose story, but maybe they don't fully understand it because they haven't been fans throughout the entire thing. Even though I've been a Celtics fan for the last decade, I literally watched this entire thing from start to finish. From the day he had one of the best rookie performances against the Celtics in the playoffs, all the way to last night to where he dropped a career high 50 points out of nowhere. And this is such a fascinating thing because just yesterday, for the first time, I heard D Rose open up about the entire experience of the last 6 years. I had heard his in the moment reaction when they did the D Rose Return series. That was back in 2012 when they were documenting his rehab and everything he was going through. I heard his takes and I heard what he was striving for, but I had never heard him sit down and talk about all the pain and everything that happened in the last 6 years after multiple knee surgeries and going from an MVP to eventually making his way to the bench. I'd never really seen him tell that story until yesterday when he did a piece with Dennis Scott, which was actually a few days ago, but I saw it yesterday for the first time, ironically. And that was so interesting because he was going through how, unlike everybody else, he doesn't blame Thibodeau, but he blames himself for the injuries. It's a fan favorite to blame Thibodeau for the day that he was in the game, but they were up double digits and there was no reason for him to be in the game. But Rose came out and said that it was his fault and that he was young and out of control and wanted everything so fast, and that he could have made a better move at the end of the game than hop stepping into the paint. He says that that was a move he didn't need to make, and he just talked about how much smarter of a player he's become, so he doesn't always try to do things like that anymore. But last night really gave you a different kind of appreciation for the work that he's put in over these last 6 years. It really just makes you appreciate how persistent he's been, because if you followed his career from the time he won MVP to now, it's been very easy to think that, yeah, his career, it looked like it was over a couple of years ago. Meniscus surgery in 2015, goes to the Knicks, has to have another meniscus surgery. Before that, he had to have another meniscus surgery, and that was what ended his ACL comeback back in 2013. But now that I'm looking at what went down last night, you really appreciate how special it is that over these last few years, you've never questioned if he could still do the things he used to do. You just knew that he wasn't doing them because he's been injured so many times doing the same thing that he's just changed who he was. So if you watched him in New York and you watched him in Cleveland and you've watched him in Minnesota last year and you've watched him in Minnesota even in the little bit of games this year, you've noticed that when he wants to, he still moves very quickly. He still has that super acrobatic layup package when he gets to the rim. But the part that made me say his career could have possibly been coming to an end in 2017 after that meniscus surgery with the Knicks, it was the fact that I didn't think anybody was ever going to throw him another lifeline. I didn't think there was going to be a team out there that would look at him and say, this is a starting point guard. I didn't think there was a contender like Cleveland out there that was going to throw him money to come be a backup point guard for a contending team. I didn't think anybody was going to take that risk. And as you saw with Cleveland, that didn't work out for them. So then you got Tom Thibodeau, who we always joke is trying to put back together the Timberwolves, and he throws Derrick Rose that lifeline. That little bit of quote-unquote blind loyalty loyalty that Tibbs has been showing his former Bulls players probably just ended up being the best thing that could have ever happened to Derrick Rose. In that interview with D. Scott, I heard Rose talking about how now his goals are just to be the sixth man of the year. He's accepted that adjustment from being the MVP player who has to carry the weight of an entire franchise to a guy that just needs to play his role as best as he possibly can. And then he said that Tibbs still believes in him as one of the best players in the league. And then just out of nowhere, I started seeing tweets last night that he has 35 points in 3 quarters. I honestly had to do a double take to make sure that the notification wasn't talking about Steph Curry. And when I turned it on, he was giving them everything. Step backs, 3-pointers, getting to the rim, and it was explosive too. So right before the final play, I noticed that his face was red. Coming out of the timeout huddle, his face was red. The Jazz get multiple chances to tie the game, and who comes up with the block on the game-tying attempt other than D. Rose? After that, he couldn't even hold it in anymore. Teammates mobbing him, and now he's just full-on crying before his last interview. And if you say that watching that moment live didn't make you want to cry, you're lying. So he's actually been having a decent season for the Wolves up to this point. Whether this was just a flash of greatness or a sign of things to come, we honestly don't know. But for those of us that have had a front row seat to witness everything this man has went through in the past 6 years, there's simply no denying that this was one of the most beautiful moments in NBA history. And so that's all for today's video. I'm not crying, you're crying. Make sure to sub to my gaming channel if you haven't already. I'm about to start posting games other than 2K over there. Hit the like button to help support the channel growing. Leave some comments and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and maybe next time I see you, Derrick Rose, I have another 50 piece. We can dream.